What's up, everybody? It's Chad. We're back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. Today, it's just going to be me and Gino, actually. I got a couple of things to there he is right there. I got a couple of things to share with you guys, some updates, especially about the track and trace system. Of course, that's the title of today's episode. And, we'll probably get out here a little bit earlier. I'm kind of messing with some shorter platform videos and everything, kind of see how that goes. And sometimes, we just don't have all the time in the world to do an hour.
Sometimes we just want to go get an ice cream.
Some tacos.
Well,
but yeah, and I didn't have a guest plan. Like I said, we're going to do some more of these episodes where it's just going to be me and Gino giving you guys some updates. And this is kind of important too. I've been getting some more information. Actually, right before the episode started, I got more information. So we might as well just get into the episode. But you got anything before we want to start?
Literally asking for a pen to try and get this stuff.
Yeah. I literally had to go ask them over at the front here at the radio station for a pen so I could hand jam this little addition into the episode so I don't forget it. It's that fresh.
I don't have anything other than I did see an interesting something on PBS YouTube site about the ancient history of cannabis.
Oh, interesting.
It goes back like 12,000 years.
Something
like that.
Ancient China or something.
Ancient China, yeah. It was ancient China, yeah. So it was a pretty interesting thing. About 20 minutes, I was like, wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting history, and how it got to America is even more interesting too.
They didn't go into that part. It's not history lesson today, right now.
So we'll do a whole episode on that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll do history with Chad later.
But we'll get into today's episode. We're going to be talking about track and trace and our pretty much situation here in New Mexico. So I'll get you guys kind of up to speed. If you don't know, we use BioTrack here in New Mexico. We've used that since we were the medical days. It's everything I've known since I've been a patient, since 2013. Everybody's used BioTrack. If there's something before and I'm mistaken, please, let me know. But I've known it as BioTrack this whole time. And if you guys didn't know, BioTrack and Metric, which are the two pretty much main tracking companies for the track and trace for cannabis, they merged, last year or the year before. I covered it on the show a couple times. And now they're pretty much going to be the same company. And I don't know what triggered this, but we've asked for it for a long time. It looks like the state has been looking at alternatives. However, I'm not too clear what alternative they're going to end up with, because we're all kind of getting told different things, and that's not good, especially when it comes to transparency.
That's
something that's important.
Nobody's not quite sure exactly what they're doing on it.
Yeah.
They've all got their own ideas on how it should work.
And maybe it's just changing, so rapidly, that they're telling us one thing one week and then that just isn't true the next week because it changed, but we're not getting that communication. On something like this, I feel like the communication needs to be a little bit better, because every single one of us in the industry, including myself, is going to have to learn this new system.
Oh, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a tech guy, I'll figure it out, but I don't know what we're dealing with, and I don't know what timelines we have. We're getting told different timelines. So we'll get into that, but we'll backtrack a little bit, but yes, we've been using that since, we went to medical. And now it looks like the state has been dabbling in something else to take over. I did cover that a couple of years ago, that, there was some, conversations about it. I think there was even some paperwork done where they were wanting to get some contract stuff done.
I think I remember when you talked about the merger. And then there was some talk on whether or not they were going to continue to use the product or try and find something on their own. I think they should pretty much just, we got a lot of smart kids here in New Mexico.
Well, funny that you say that.
Labs and stuff.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. So the couple story. Okay, I got a couple of stories for you. And here's a couple of ones I'm going to share with you guys, because I'm not too sure who's telling what and who's telling me the truth as well too when it comes to sources as well. Because some of this information I've only heard one time, etc. But other information I've literally got screenshots of it too. So it's more of concrete versus a verbal, hey, this and that. And I did also call the CCD myself yesterday, and I asked them, and it was just the lady on the phone. I forget who it was. She was really nice about it. But anyway, So here's the first thing I heard, and this is how, recently it kind of came back up. Someone posted a screenshot from this company called Kova. Kova's a POS system company. No, not piece of shit. It stands for point of sales. Some of you in the restaurant industry, you probably heard of Aloha. That's probably one of the more common ones that I've used it myself when I was a bartender, several times. It's kind of similar something to that, but however, it ties into BioTrack. So, it does a lot of the stuff for you in the background.
Nice.
So you don't have to do it yourself, because BioTrack is a little daunting. It is a little confusing. And it is a huge learning curve. Even for me, I was like, okay, you got to do what now? I was like, okay, and what next? Okay, why? And it was very, very redundant. There were certain times where you'd put one information in, and the next page you're putting the same information in, but different. Like a different kind of like weight metric system. You're like,
sometimes I think the companies that come up with all of this software like that are building it that way for job security.
Yeah.
Because, there's got to be some systems out there in the private industry that you have to track everything, and you have to keep track. I mean, retail in general, everybody's keeping track of their inventory. So, how difficult would it be to make it simpler, not necessarily simple, but simpler, to make things flow easy and easy to manage for everybody? That if somebody at the state wanted to pull up and said, hey, can you tell me where this is?
Yeah.
And then they can find it.
Exactly. And, the user interface of BioTrack isn't the best. I was going to try to show Gino, when you get a chance to, but it's not the best, and coming from a tech background, you and I both know that, that's kind of important, especially these days. And when you're dealing with a track and trace system where, there's the law involved and this and that, you really want to make sure that the people that use it have an easy time using it. So the first story I got was, that Kova company, they sent out an email to their customers and they said, hey, with just letting you guys give you a heads up, looks like New Mexico is, changing the track and trace to something else. They didn't have much information beyond, they're changing it. They didn't say who or what, but they did give a timeline of September.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is like 2 months, a little more than 2 months. Especially like right now, we're like days away from August.
Yeah.
So, we're like 5 weeks, maybe 4.5 weeks away from September.
September. Yeah. Well, just basically about a month away, but
yeah.
Is that even barely enough to get everybody, to make sure that everybody gets their hand on the software and to transfer information? I mean,
yeah,
we're
exactly.
talking about getting a lot of your inventory into the new system, training your people on the new system, learning how to use it, period.
Yeah, and then training your employees after that on top of it, and then making sure the compliance understands that there's going to be mistakes made.
Yeah.
So hopefully the mistakes that you make, you can correct them yourself versus having to call somewhere like, hey, I did this, and they have to release something, and you got to wait so many whatever just because you didn't add in, an extra one or something, and you just mistakenly, we all make
somebody got a decimal point system.
Exactly. Like someone just made a simple human error, and now it's become this huge issue, and now you got to wait days or whatever and plead with them or whatever. I hope it's not that. Okay, so right before, and this goes to where, now, right before the show, I actually got a message in the screenshot. Dutchie is now echoing pretty much the exact same thing. Okay. So now we have two companies that do have stakes in this to, make sure the customers know that for some reason and somehow have been in contact with the CCD this close that they know a date, more or less, of September. Not like an actual day, but they're giving you September of this year. So that's the two stories I got there. Now, here's where things get a little weird. I called the CCD yesterday, and I asked the lady on the phone directly. I said, okay, and I gave her the whole spiel. This is what's going on. You guys are on BioTrack, blah, blah, blah. She said, yes, it's true that they are looking to another system. It is going to be made internally. And one of the things that I saw online that someone saw too as well, and I believe I saw it too, is that, yes, it is an Albuquerque company. However, when I was on the phone with them, I asked her that. I said, is it an Albuquerque company? She said she doesn't know. She said, we're coming out with a new one, and we don't know the date of when it's going to come out. And I was like, okay. And that was pretty much the Stonewall answers I was hitting was, yes, we're getting a new track and trace system. We're making it internally. No date, right? However, two different business sources are telling us now, which is open source, that September is the timeline. Now, here's where it gets even more weird. Yesterday when I made a post and updated this, and I thought that was more or less the accurate information of what I was getting, and now I'm finding out that we're all kind of getting told something different. Someone made a comment on my post, and they said that they talked to the director of CCD. I had another source tell me the same thing, right? And so these are going to be where the stories get a little different again. The guy that commented told me that he talked to the director, had a great conversation. He named, I think it was like RFI or something like that was the name of the company that's, designing the program for them.
RFI?
Something like that. I can't remember off the top. Don't quote me on that whatsoever. That is probably completely wrong. But if it is right, cool. I think it might.
If it's right, he's good. If it's wrong, it's not his fault.
Yeah, it's not my fault if I'm wrong. But, don't quote me on that for sure. It's in my comments. I just didn't, write it down beforehand because some of this stuff is coming in, as I'm trying to get this show going. But yeah. So it's an Albuquerque-based company that he said is working on it, and then it's going to be Q3 is when it's going to be released. And I believe we just hit a new fiscal year, so it's Q1 now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now Q3 lines up to, I believe, around next spring, summer.
Q3 would actually be January.
So January is Q3.
Yeah,
okay,
because,
you're right.
because,
yes,
because
it's like 2.5 months or something like that.
Fiscal years. If they're doing fiscal year, then the fiscal year starts in July. So every quarter, July,
so
August,
every
September.
2.5. Yeah.
So October, November, December. So third quarter would be January.
So January. So early winter.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
No, it's not. But this is going off with someone in my comments. I didn't hear this conversation. I wasn't there.
You can always trust the comments.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing against the person that
comments are awesome.
Yeah, but I don't know how truthful they're being told this information, or how accurate it was them being told that. They're just reporting it. Mm-hmm. And they were confident enough to put it in the comments that I would hope they were telling the truth. So, let's assume that maybe they are telling the truth, that, this is it. So now, if that is the case, we have the director telling other people, because I had another source that I talked to yesterday tell me that they talked to the director and they were told the exact same thing that I was told by the CCD, which made more sense to me and was more accurate, because that would make sense that the director is echoing the same thing that the lady on the phone was echoing.
Well, but okay, you got to but.
Yeah, but this is the government we're dealing with.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to get the button.
Is it too early to start my favorite word? We have a certain amount of time.
Let's give it a little bit further. It gets deeper.
It gets further. I'll wait.
It gets a little bit deeper
there. But I was just saying, the timeline would make more sense if they were rolling it out by September.
Yeah.
And then by third quarter, say January, you had to have everything moved over and you had to have everybody trained and everybody set.
Exactly. Yes.
So that would make more sense if they were rolling it out in September, because I don't know how easy it is to export information from BioTrack, because you're either going to have to manually input it into the new system, or if BioTrack plays nice, they could come up with a way that you could export all of the information from your system so that you could just import it into the new system in some way.
Yeah, I think you can export a lot of the data itself easily. I think they did allow that, because the state does have to run things, they have to print things, all like government bullshit. Yeah. So I do believe that you can print stuff out, like that, and get the information out, because they do have porting. That's how Kova and Dutchy work, is they port into. Yeah. Sorry guys, we're talking tech information here. If you know, if not,
Actually, I have no idea what any of this shit is. So I'm just going off of that, but knowing what I know about how systems
it's pretty much just saying that, my program is going to work with your program to kind of do some things in the background kind of sense, and like port with it.
In radio, we've had certain systems that we work with that we've had to switch over to new systems.
Yeah.
And it would be just a matter of being able to get all the information that you have on that old system onto the new system, because in 6 months, the old system is not going to be there anymore.
Right. So. Exactly. 100%. And that's one thing that I'm worried about. And other people have, voiced concerns too, as well, as, how is this transition going to work? And I've had other people tell me, like, no, I don't want it to change. And people have just become so used to it that, it's second nature now. They know how to work it. It's comfortable enough.
You're used to all the quirks. When something goes wrong, you know how to fix and stuff like that.
It's like having an old car.
Yeah. But it's also getting used to a new system. Anybody, okay, I'll dumb it way down for everybody here.
Barney style.
Everybody that's done this, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you've had to get your information from your old phone to your new phone.
There you go.
That's kind of like that right there. So
yes.
How easy do they make that transition for something else like that? Especially say, an old phone that's running an old operating system to a new phone that's running the latest and greatest.
Yes.
So some of that stuff will transfer over. I'm not talking about any particular company that might be related to a fruit at all, but I'm just saying sometimes it gets a little wonky.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about, it just transferring all of that information that you have in your old phone into the new phone with the new system and everything, and how nice they'll play with that. Because sometimes if it doesn't play nice, you got to put in all those contacts one at a time.
Because you're essentially going from one operating system to a total different one.
Yeah, completely.
With this change. It's not going to be Apple to Apple or Droid to Droid. Yeah. You're going from like a Droid to an Apple in this situation, or vice versa, however you want to put it. And we're not sure if the compatibility is going to be there, if there's going to be packet loss, or data loss, if they're, going to have everything on, we hope. And, from what I'm seeing, from what people say, it seems like we're being assured that, it is going to be user friendly. It's going to be something that, is going to work, et cetera, et cetera. And to be honest, other people from other states are kind of taking note of this. I posted it, and other people from like Oregon and other, states that have legal cannabis, they've kind of perked their ears up a little bit, and we're kind of listening in on this. Like, oh, I'm really curious.
See, this is exactly what I wanted to do. This takes up the opportunities. If we have an Albuquerque-based company, based in Albuquerque, not has an office in Albuquerque. I'm always afraid of that one too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But if we've got an Albuquerque-based company that comes up with some, awesome way to go ahead and get this done, that is user-friendly, that is able to track things and keep track of everything properly and make it easy for everybody to find out what they need, then you know what? That Albuquerque can make money nationwide by doing this. Come up with a better mousetrap and people will buy it.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I just wish they were more transparent about this whole thing, because we're sitting here with a lot of speculation, and now we have like 4 different stories of the same result at the end.
And every single one of them could be true. Like you said, if it's from one week to another, or one person didn't get the latest update in the email or anything else that was going on right there. But if I wanted to apply logic to the government, caveat right there, then the idea of getting this company going, developing something, rolling it out, probably beta testing in September. By the time we get to fourth quarter, then making sure people get that transfer over. And then third quarter, beginning of January, the beginning of the calendar year, then everybody's ready to roll, and you can just kind of move on from there. And BioTrack can
finally just off.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, well, there's a big, not conspiracy, but someone tested the metric tags. Mm-hmm. And I think they tested, don't quote me on this one, I don't remember the list off my head, but I believe it was arsenic, lead, a bunch of harmful shit that shouldn't be in a product. And the state wants you to recycle them or compost them if you want to. And they're like, well, they tested for this and this, and then other stuff.
Why would you compost something that has all that stuff in it and then throw it into something that you're going to grow with that stuff in it?
I don't know, dude.
I know. Compost it. Just give it to your friend's tomato garden. That'll be fine.
Let them deal with the lead.
Let them deal with all that.
Lead and tomatoes go well together. So, yeah, this is pretty much the situation that we have right now. There's not much transparency. I actually emailed the CCD the screenshot from COVID. Now we have another one from Dutchie that's mirroring pretty much the same information, in hopes that they will actually come out publicly and tell us what's going on. Because now I'm getting a story told to me, another person's getting another story told to them, and 2 companies are getting the same story told to them. So I'm kind of feeling that's even more accurate, since it's 2 companies, because a company isn't going to risk telling their customers a lie that isn't true, especially something like this.
Yeah.
When it's something to an internal company issue, sure. But when it comes to something like this, they're going to want to be as accurate as possible. So I'm kind of feeling that the September timeline might be closer to being more accurate than anything else being told to me.
And once again, I want to give the government the benefit of the doubt that maybe some people are privy to certain knowledge than not.
Yeah.
And somebody leaks this up, oh, people are going to change things, it's going to happen this day, and then they haven't gotten quite that far, while other people are working with the other companies and going hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what's going to happen, can you make your guys compatible with this system, or we'll give you a little beta so you can test it out or do what you guys need to do. So I mean, and I'm not the be all end all in tech guys, but that seems like a tech guy solution like that. It's oh, we got to test it, make sure everything's good.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. So, you know, I'm worried about the whole transition myself. But I'm also worried about this transparency or lack of from the CCD too. And the fact that they're telling different people different stories. And or maybe they're telling everybody the same story and people are hearing it differently.
Oh,
That's another issue that
that's a
happens
whole
too.
other issue.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue too, just a breakdown of communication. Because, you know, I'm getting told it's internal being done internally, and then I guess there's no company involved, which I would figure there's a contracted company involved. You know, they just don't want to disclose it. Or we could do a FOIA request and go through that whole process. And then there's no timeline, you know, of when it's going to come out. But, you know, why would they tell these companies that, you know, work on the back end of these? And, you know, one of them said that they're working closely with the CCD on this and staying in contact. So why would they lie? But at the same time, why is it the government telling us the same information too?
Either way, even if they were going to do a third quarter rollout or something like that, I mean, that's less than 6 months. It's still a quick timeline to get things done. So I would hope anything, if they are going to do it in September, if they are going to do it in January, that they give everybody enough time just to go ahead and try and get the whole system working for them. And that way, because, you know, once again, you kind of think that the government wouldn't want any problems, any issues. They want to like roll it out and make sure that everybody's got everything good and they're cool on that. And then it's the government. So, and like you said, we'll get into more of that.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have on this, guys. You know, we'll see what happens. I think the company is called RTS. I just saw it in my notes. So I think that is what, you know, it's called, was RTS. I was like, oh, okay, RTS. I did get it right. I don't know why there's so much secrecy around this. You know, we're supposed to be very transparent with this industry. And that was one of the reasons why, that was one of the trade-offs that the legislators wanted when they passed this, is they wanted transparency. But I feel that the transparency isn't mutual. It's more or less that's transparency within the government, not with the people that are involved with the industry, constituents, et cetera, et cetera. I feel that needs to change, and we should have been involved in this process the whole time, you know, giving input. And they did ask for input a while back in an email from a survey. I don't know what was in it. I didn't take it. One of the people that I know did, and, you know, they said they didn't want the system to change, and I think it's more or less they just don't want to learn a new system. I don't think anybody does.
Everybody's used to their things. They're, you know, like I said, you're familiar with it. You know, it's the devil you know, other than the devil you don't know. And the bulletins they've been sending are fairly vague, and the ones that, you know, other people have sent me to, all of a sudden they disappeared, and so like I don't know. Just be transparent with the whole situation. Hey, this changed, this, that, blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going through. Either way, wait and see. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm sure once you know, everybody else is going to know it too. So there you go.
Good luck to us.
Good luck.
But yeah, that's all I have on that, guys. If I hear anything else, I'll keep you guys updated. Pay attention to my socials and stuff like that outside of the weekly episodes to get some information that you may have to wait for. So we're going to move on to the last conversation today. Like I said, we're going to get out here kind of quick today.
Ice cream. Actually, wings, National Wing Day.
Oh, is it National Wing Day? I'm going to go get me some wings.
Check your favorite place. They might be doing specials.
Good idea. If you're watching this tomorrow.
Wait a minute. If you're watching this
tomorrow, it ain't going to be the case.
Yeah, if you're watching this at the regularly scheduled time on Thursday, Wing Day was yesterday. Sorry you missed out.
At the time of recording.
If you're watching the stream right now.
Yeah, go get it. So anyway, the very last thing we're going to talk about is this Texas ban. And it's been talked about all over the place. And I figured I'd address it because, you know, New Mexico this does affect New Mexico. And we'll talk about that in a second. So July 31st is the last day that Texas can have the Delta 8, you know, the synthetic, semi-synthetic stuff, THCA, THCV, THCP, blah, blah, blah. All the THCs banned. They're banning all of them. I think your products have to be like pure CBD, and like they're giving you that like weird leeway, and they're breaking it down even further because, you know, people were finding, you know, little gray areas where they were using, or okay, we're going by volume versus, you know, weight and this and that, because the government always uses arbitrary fucking numbers.
Which still doesn't solve the problem that they think they had about, kids can just go buy this at the convenience store.
Yeah, exactly. So Then they're banning that too. You can't do it at the convenience store, the shops and everything.
All the
They're banning
shops,
it.
nothing like
Everything.
that.
Yeah,
No.
everything in Texas, all that's being banned. So come August 1st, done. And this is actually going to end a lot of businesses in Texas, a lot of homegrown businesses, people that grew up or from Texas, all that stuff. And that's unfortunate. You know, like, yes, we're going to get onto New Mexico, how we're going to benefit, of course. But I, as the human being in me, as the person I am, and as the patient I am, I hate to see patients lose access or anybody lose access. You know, like, be it CBD or whatever, or, you know, THCA, people were finding relief with it and they were liking that. And it sucks that it's being taken away from them due to fear and due to stigma.
And irrational fear.
Yes.
And like you said, the stigma that's been there for no reason.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have alcohol that's so prevalent in Texas. Yeah, they have drive-through, you know, alcohol places in Texas. You can even like order a margarita from a drive-through in Texas at some place. I think in El Paso they have like a place where you can order like a drive-through margarita.
Yeah, I think I know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew about that.
I've never visited myself, but I've had some people tell me about it.
I may or may not have been there. I don't remember.
You may have been drunk already.
It's the way it goes when I'm down there.
And that's the problem about, you know, drinking is people black out and do stupid shit. We didn't get DWIs because of cannabis. It's because of alcohol. You know, like,
and once again, we've been legal coming up for 4 years.
So we're at 4 years right now for
4 years right now.
sales.
So
we're at 5 years for legalization
We're coming up for the 5th-year anniversary then
of sales of adult sales.
Of adult sales, and that'll be in March, April.
April 1st.
I remember things. Most of the time. And once again, after all this time, I don't think I've ever heard any statistics. I haven't heard anything on DUIs or anything else that they've had with people, things getting worse or anything else. If anything, you know, what's gotten worse is just people, you know, trying to rob stores.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only real issue. You know, even there's a study that just came out that, you know, more Americans, again, for the second year now, it's like confirmed, are using cannabis higher than they are tobacco and alcohol. You know, and I'm like, cool, that's fine. But they went off like a number of millions of people used. So, you know, I don't know what it is,
like
how it is, how much. Yeah. So the data could be something a little bit different. But, you know, again, it's showing that more people are using cannabis and the alcohol and tobacco is dropping, which is what we wanted, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we wanted to veer off those and try something else that's less harmful. Don't get me wrong, cannabis isn't perfect. And also there's studies showing that kids are using cannabis less, even though it's legal. So it's showing that we're not doing this world-ending thing, but certain things are improving in certain areas.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. That's a stupid thing to say, but here's the thing. Anything is bad for you, depending on excess or how you use it, why you're using it, all that other stuff like that. But I would remind people that what somebody put.
Thanks, Pam. I don't know if you saw the Deadpool
hello.
Ryan Reynolds thing the other day.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah.
But I was just gonna say, even aspirin. By the way, aspirin comes from a plant. Just want to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
You know, can be good or bad for you.
Yeah.
You know, depending on how you use it and how it's being used.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a reason why they have fentanyl available. You know, it's not Schedule 1.
It's not Schedule 1 because it has some medical benefit.
Yeah, and that's why it's still available.
That goes back to that whole thing for the past few meetings for that week. Mm-hmm. If there is any medical benefit to cannabis, which there is, I don't think there's any doubt on that on anyone out there. And it could be the different compounds that have those different effects, but it shouldn't be Schedule 1.
Yeah, so. Exactly. You know, and to be honest, you know, like
we're not going to get back into that argument again, but I'm just saying it has some medical benefits, so therefore Schedule 1 should be out right off the bat. Yeah,
exactly. And that should have been the case the whole time. And to be honest,
should have been.
We talked about, you know, Supreme Court and their arguments when it came to that, you know, that gun hearing and how they were attacking the CSA and how much they did not like how they were putting drugs on it and how they were going about this in the first place. So I hope to see that argument reach Supreme Court at some point. I hope someone sues over that and it gets there. It might be a couple of years.
Oh, it might get there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they're going through right now. So.
Yeah, and I think they're coming back in a couple months, right? Something like that.
Coming back in a couple of months because they just finished up this session. They'll start a whole new session.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of cases they're trying to determine whether or not they're going to hear them or not. So
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it's called, but just trying to determine a lot of cases.
Yeah, there's so
there's
many
all kinds of stuff coming up on
there's all kinds, and you got like the circuits and then all the other crap. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going through. Even when it comes to like bills in Congress, there's so many cannabis related bills. Like, yeah, I see people post all the time, oh, they're going to legalize with this one. I'm like, if it's not getting progress, or there's not key people that are signing on with this bill as like a sponsor to the bill, there's no point in me posting about it, because it's just something to post.
Yeah, I think I heard something that they had some of our congressmen working on the whole hemp thing to try and get that done before October.
Yeah.
Which, who knows when that's going to happen, because they're going to take off in a couple of weeks here for all the election stuff that's going to happen in November. So.
And then of course November, December, January is dead because of the holidays. So
mainly because of the holidays, and then people will be taking office in January and all that other stuff.
Yep, we have the election. So yeah, I forgot about that for a second. How do you forget that?
There's always an election. So
right. But anyway, we'll get back to the Texas thing real quick. So yeah, they're banning it. Unfortunate for them. I actually talked to one of the advocates yesterday in Texas, and she was telling me that it seems kind of grim. It looks like they've exhausted everything that they could do, and there's nothing else they can do. And it looks like this ban's going to go through. They've tried the courts. They've tried to stall it for as long as they could. It's happening. And they feel defeated, of course. Like I would too. I've felt defeated many times when it comes to the legislature here in New Mexico even. So I know that feeling. And the unfortunate part is in Texas, when it comes to this issue, it's going to be so much harder to get progression because of the way that it's gone, and the way that their legislature set up, who the representatives are, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we have an election coming in November, so certain things could change, but I'm not as confident of it changing as much as it should be or could be for it to actually change in the positive for Texas within the next year or two.
Yeah.
Next year is their legislative session. They do them like every other year, kind of like every 2 years. So I think it's like every 2 years, and it's like ends up like being an odd year, I think. So next year is going to be their session, and we'll see what happens. We could hope for maybe some kind of cite and release kind of program, and that's kind of like where she was talking about is, we're kind of strategizing where we want to go with this, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to push for legalization. I'm sure some bills will be pushed in. They do that. They'll put a bill in to see what happens, where it goes. There's sometimes bullshit bills too. I'm not saying these bills will be bullshit bills, but they exist. Bills that just are introduced to see where it goes and how they react to it. And I think they did that every session so far.
Did the advocates in Texas have any of their legislators that are working with them or that want to push new bills or new stuff? Or is it?
Yeah, actually, one of the representatives from El Paso, Joe Moody. He's actually been one of the ones who was one of the people that wrote a lot of the bills, especially last session for the medical one. And I guess something got attached to one of the bills, I think the legalization or decrim bill, and he didn't like it, so he just let it die because he knew that fighting that was going to be hard. Yeah, it was a poison pill amendment, and so he's been a real huge proponent for cannabis. And props to him. He's actually been one of the people that helped out get the cite and release program get started in El Paso itself, because that's in Texas, and people still get arrested a lot in Texas, especially the ones that work in our industry and stuff too. They get harassed sometimes unfairly. So that's the one people that I think of when it's stuff like this is, my people that work in the industry that I know, my friends who live in El Paso, Texas, who are just 20, 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
That's not fair to that. I get all this freedom and they don't, they should also get some of it too. So that's pretty much the update I have with Texas. Now let's go to how are we going to benefit New Mexico? And I've talked about this before, but now it's for sure concrete. Those of you that operate near the Texas border and even sometimes inland areas, more like Rio Doso, you guys are going to be fine. Rio Doso is probably always going to be fine because they're always going to have the tourist Texan coming and going anyway. So they're going to always have people coming from that, place anyway, and they're going to get used to the cannabis here and they're going to know it and all that, et cetera, et cetera. So Rio Doso, places like that will be fine. Places like Sunland Park, Hobbs, Carlsbad, even places like Jal, Glen Rio, these places may see a huge hit once something does change in Texas. But for the time being, for probably the next, I'm putting a good guess in here, guys, the next 4 years at the least, it's probably going to be more. You guys are good to operate. You're probably going to make even more money now because now these people that were going to these, Delta 8 shops, THCA shops, getting the hemp-derived products, they can no longer get these products, starting, what's today? In a couple of days, actually.
I think it's
3 days or 4 days from now.
Let me see.
It's the 29th right now.
2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
31st is Friday, so starting on Saturday.
So about, yeah, so 2-3 days, you know, there's really the timeline to have. The 31st is the last day. I'm hearing people are selling bulk, trying to get out as quick as they can, you know, shutting down. And that's unfortunate.
Getting those Amazon deliveries?
I guess, you know, yeah, sending it out however they can. You know, that's unfortunate. Texas had one of the largest, if not the largest, cannabis industry in the nation, you know, via the hemp, you know, side. You know, we all know it's the same damn plant. All the difference is the damn percentage of THC, pretty much when you harvest it. And now it's gone, you know, just like that. Boom. Because the legislature just did not like what was going on, and they just could not wrap their minds around and like Texas is supposed to be this business friendly state. However, what I found with talking to these advocates and visiting myself, they're friendly to corporations. They're not friendly to mom and pops. Yeah. And that's the distinguishing factor that I think everybody needs to realize to themselves is Texans know this, but I don't think everybody else knows this, because I hear people go, well, Texas is great for business. It's great for corporations. It's not great if you're like a smaller business like this.
You've got that corporate lobby.
Yes. And then now you have the hemp people that are now fighting the medical cannabis people in Texas too. So you have like this whole weird infighting that goes on everywhere. Don't get me wrong, even here in New Mexico. But it happens because they can't agree what to do and where to go. And, you know, that's where the infighting starts and comes from. And it's going to continue for a long time. So we're going to benefit from that for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because, like you said, you're talking about the same plant. There's distinctions between there make no sense. But I don't understand why they're not working together more to try and get the whole thing taken care of. Question for you, though. Will anything on the national scene with the hemp bill, if they try and bring that back or anything else, would that affect Texas in any way? If, say, something happens nationally between cannabis and hemp?
So yeah, definitely. And I was okay, I know where you're going with this. There's two things for that one. And I want to mention one that's already happened, and one that could possibly happen. If they do end up somehow miraculously saving the hemp, you know, ban stuff, you know, through Congress, and, you know, they come in at the hair of our chinny chin chin. Unfortunately, in Texas, they're going to have to wait till the next legislative session to fix it. Okay. So the ban will be there and everybody will be out of business in that time being, unless the state comes back on the rules and said, okay, due to this being changed, we're going to go back, because all it is rules. And then there's also laws that pass too, but they've created a lot of rules, and most of the stuff comes from the rules because they couldn't get a all-out ban. So if something does change, there's a chance that two things could happen from that as well. Is they say, okay, they did change a federal law, we're going to change the rules, do an emergency rule change, and, you know, you guys will be able to operate again. We're sorry, and they're probably going to get sued. And then they could also take their damn time if it does change and wait till the next legislative session so they can get some laws put in so they can make more rules around it. That seems more of the Texas thing to do.
Well,
you know,
even then, I guess you can count yourself lucky in Texas that the session is coming up in this next year.
Yes.
So it's not like you have to wait another couple of years for a session. Yeah. So that I guess, and the timing is a little bit lucky. Yeah. But I was just wondering about that, because there are moves being made to try and get that whole hemp bill thing that they passed in the farm bill to get that out of there and get that taken care of on a national level. Yeah, there is. But one thing I wanted to mention too before I forget as well, and that's that what's already happened thing. That's Schedule 3. Cannabis is now Schedule 3, officially FDA approved, and state medical cannabis. So the Teacup program is federally approved, you know, Schedule 3, all that stuff. So what I think they could do is they could leverage that during the legislative session, because we all know Texas likes to mirror federal law almost to the T. Instead of, you know, going outside of it, or, you know, okay, this isn't in there, so we're going to create this, whatever. They usually just go by that. Don't get me wrong. There's instances where they don't. Like the Teacup program is pretty much based under the hemp laws. Essentially, that's how they got it. It's like a low THC program. If they go off of federal law is your medical state program is now federally legal. Yep. So what are they going to do? What I think they should do is push to expand their medical program even further than what it is now, because they did just add plus 10 operators or plus 12 operators in the state, which sounds like here in New Mexico when we were just, you know, getting out and getting more operators and everything too. But they have the benefit of cannabis being federally Schedule 3 now in their medical program. And if they leverage that at the legislature, they might be successfully able to create a
robust medical program that rivals what they did with the hemp stuff, because they'll be able to do real higher THC numbers and stuff like that, because that's federally legal now if your state allows it and it's a medical program.
On the medical program.
Exactly. So
is there any chance that they might be able to pull some of those hemp products under that umbrella of the medical labels? Since, I mean, if somebody's using these for medicinal purposes or for health purposes, so all of the other different compounds and stuff like that, would they maybe be able to bring that under the umbrella of the medical?
I don't know the direct answer of that, but what I do know, what I was told, and this is what I was told by the advocate, is that the hemp company and the medical companies don't really work together. I don't think they can due to the regulations. And she asked here in New Mexico, and I said, well, before they changed some regulations from the the environmental department and some other stuff, the hemp companies were providing CBD hemp to the cannabis companies to help them make certain products, like a 1-to-1 product where it's the same amount of THC as the CBD, and it's easier to introduce it versus try to find the plant. And especially when it comes to extraction and making other products, they were able to introduce more CBD products that way, and they kind of worked together. And to be honest, it worked. It was a very good symbiotic relationship. But in Texas, I don't think they're allowed to do that. We're not allowed to do that here anymore, I guess, either. But yeah, this whole time they haven't been able to do that. And so now they're kind of like pitting against each other even further with that. So it gets even further with like the bad blood there. So it's unfortunate that they're going through that. And I say it all the time. It's the Texas novella. But yeah, it really is the fuckery that's going on in Texas.
Right. We forgot to throw that.
The fuckery that's going on in Texas is exponential at the moment. So I hope something changes for them. But here in New Mexico, we're definitely going to benefit. So those of you on the Texas-New Mexico border, there might be a possibility of you guys seeing an influx of customers in the coming weeks. So be ready, and also get your bud tenders educated. We all saw that King of the Hill episode, and that bud tender that helped Hank out. Fire. That was a great bud tender. That reminded me of some bud tenders down in Sunland Park that I know. But we don't run into a lot of bud tenders like that. So if you guys could get your bud tenders like that, they might be expecting that now. So after watching that episode, because a lot of Texans shared that, were laughing at that. Even like the Texas Advocates on my page, they shared the video that I posted about it.
Yeah, I think it was your post that I saw.
Yeah.
I watched that on the going like, oh, that's hilarious.
For some reason, the one on Facebook went viral. It had like over 200,000 views or something, over 500 something shared. It was weird. It was random. And so, yeah. Check it out. It's a funny episode. The new season of King of the Hill. Really like it. I know, shameless plug, but Judge is from New Mexico, so it's not too shameless.
Well, all I'm saying is that we just don't like that kind of thing here. And
Damn it, Bobby!
And I'll be paying cash. That
one part was it. Cash.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you want to put that on your card? No, I'm going to pay cash.
He's a cash, just straight into the pocket.
Yeah.
But that's all I have for this week of episode of #Grassy Logic. What do you got? Anything else?
I don't have anything else other than stay cool. It's hot outside.
Right.
And, I did want to bring this up because I made that trip home. Right there.
Yeah.
And I was driving in an area in Gallup, and I'm going like, wow, because there was a certain scent that came off at a certain intersection, and I'm going like, wow, I thought we just passed the shop like 2 blocks down, and my mom goes, no, they've got to grow right here, and I'm going like, what? And I look over, and sure enough, there's this kind of huge warehouse thing.
Yeah.
That's off of this major like bridge right off 66.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, they've got an entire grow there?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And I'm going like, damn.
Welcome to the industry.
Welcome to the industry. I was like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
got to get the weed from somewhere.
Yeah. It was pretty big. I'd say it's bigger than our building.
Yeah. Some of them get really big. I'll have to take you to some of these grows sometime.
Okay.
But anyway, that's all we have for this week. Gino got to see one of his first grows from the outside. Maybe he'll get to go see one, and I got to take him to one.
Well, I saw it from outside. Right. I certainly smelled it from outside.
Right. All right, guys. I'll see you next week, and we'll be back for cannabis and cannabis accessories.
I deal in cannabis and cannabis accessories, so we would like to have more accessories.
Sounded more like butthead.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. It's more of an Eastern New Mexico accent.
I got to work on that Hank Hill cannabis impression.
Definitely. So we'll both work on it. Damn it, Bobby. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. We'll be back again. Shoots.